Well, 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 what do we have here?
Let me have your attention for a moment. Talk about something important. Are they all here?
All but one.
Well, I'm going anyway. Let's talk about something important.
Guys, welcome back. It is another day. It is another sports card video. Another week, we kick it off, and we've got a little bit of Fanatics stuff on the brain. I was minding my own business, scrolling through my IG, and Michael Rubin's story popped up, or reel, or whatever it was. I am just still trying to figure out IG myself. But I thought that this was really interesting because he was at the Chicago Spectacular, Sports Spectacular, which is a pretty big card show out in the Chicago area. And this is coming on the back of going to the Philly card show. Now, let me be clear here. I'm not really that surprised that maybe he would pop into the Philly card show because it's local to him. He did own the 76ers, a piece of the 76ers at one point. He's a huge Philly guy. So is it a huge shock that the CEO of Fanatics would pop in and check out the local show? Not really, but what got my attention is the whole leadership team that we've heard about that they just hired on was out there at that Chicago Spectacular. It wasn't just him. What, Fred? What'd you say? You know I started talking already, right? I'm in the middle of it. Sorry. Thank you to today's video sponsor, COMC.com, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace now home to over 30 million cards from baseball superstars like Aaron Judge to Marvel favorites like Spider-Man. COMC has something for every type of collector. Make sure to visit COMC.com today to build out your collection with your favorite cards. Guys, I will have a link to take you there in the video description as well as pinned in the comments section. Check it out. So if you watch that reel for Michael Rubin, each part of the leadership team gives their take and things that could be improved on. And that was kind of the emphasis I felt like of the reel is we need to see more improvement. There was one person on the leadership team that was talking about, hey, we need some more diversity here, which I'm sure he probably looked around and noticed that 90% of the people there are probably middle-aged white folks like me, and probably not a bad idea to try to get some more diversity into the hobby. So they mentioned that. They also talked about overall collector experience, get them closer to the cards, get them closer to the athletes, which I thought was interesting. We all talk about this. We all know Michael Rubin is the king of cool when it comes to a lot of these athletes. He knows all of them. He knows musicians. He is connected. And this is the thing that is unique to Fanatics and this leadership team. Michael Rubin is a guy that's out in front. He's out at shows. When's the last time you saw CEOs of these major companies that are hanging out at card shows and then posting about it on social media? And to be honest, do we even know the CEOs or the owners of a lot of these huge hobby companies? We don't really, a lot of them. A lot of them stay behind the scenes, which is perfectly fine. But this is something that is kind of unique to Fanatics is you've got a monstrosity of a company, a huge company. And I know what you guys are probably going to say next, or some of you, man, you are so shilling Fanatics right now. This monopoly is going to destroy everything. Well, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, we've had Topps that was basically a monopoly for baseball cards. And then we've had Panini, which is basically a monopoly for basketball, football cards, and other brands. So, I mean, we've basically been operating in a monopoly since, going back to the 90s where you did have, a lot of licensing was going out to different places and you had a variety of different companies that were making cards. We haven't had that for a long time. And honestly, there's pros and cons to that as well. So I don't think that it's all just solved if you open it up and you give licensure to a million different companies. I do agree that competition is good in business, but I guess my main point is there's a lot of people that are like freaking out about a Fanatics monopoly, not realizing that we've basically had a monopoly all along, at least over the last couple of decades. And so what does this say that the Fanatics executives, it's not like they're just sending people out to go and kind of, hey, can you go do some recon and then report back to us? No, they are on the ground themselves, looking, watching, trying to get a feel for what's going on. It makes me wonder, is Fanatics going to get into this side of the business as well? Or are they going to be putting on shows or buying shows or maybe helping shows, in some way? They're already set up with huge booths, exhibit booths, and this sort of thing at shows. So does this mean an expansion of kind of their customer experience when they set up at like the National and you've got the Fanatics booth, which is already massive, by the way? Maybe they have an even larger space where they've got athletes walking around or they've got some sort of experience and added experience features for the collectors that are out there. Or do we have Fanatic shows that have it, that they put on, they organize it? I mean, Michael Rubin knows how to put on a show. I mean, he does on Instagram, he's got like the white party that he does every year at his house, or I don't know if he rents out a place or whatever, but it's basically a who's who of the entertainment industry is there. It's not like these guys don't know how to throw parties and to provide entertainment. So I think this is going to be really interesting to watch. And they do reference, hey, let's see what this looks like 5 to 10 years down the road. So I know there's a lot of people overly optimistic, bullish on the hobby, really for no particular reason at all. But where I am bullish on the fact that I think there will still be a hobby in 5 to 10 years, there will still be interest. It doesn't mean that all the cards go to the moon and 10x and all that stupidness, but I think it does keep it relevant because it's Fanatics. If it was really like any other of these huge companies, that just don't know the space and just don't really care that much and really just looking at the bottom line, I'm not going to pretend to think that the Fanatics is not just looking at the bottom line too. Of course they are. But I do think that they genuinely care about the customer, and I do think they're going to work hard to expand out what a typical card show looks like.
If there's anything that's American, it's baseball cards. Become a multi-million-dollar business. It's a real nice hobby.
And let's face it, card shows are already pretty damn cool. So if you add in some other experience elements, or maybe it's just some added tiers, kind of like where you pay extra to do these sorts of things, kind of like, I don't know, you go to Disney World and you can buy passes to these extra things and do all this other stuff. Maybe there's some added juice there that they throw in. That would be really cool. Outside of just the typical kind of autograph lines where you go in and meet the athletes, which is awesome, by the way. Get to meet athletes for 10, 15 seconds, get a signature, maybe even get a picture sometimes. Look, that's already cool, but maybe there's more. Maybe there's more to come there. So I thought that was really interesting to seeing Fanatics executives walking around card shows and talking about it and where can we add improvement? Because if you're thinking about it, it's like, why would they care about that? Why would they be worried about improving a card show if they weren't going to be putting on their own shows, or if they weren't going to expand their exhibit space or their experience in their exhibit space at a card show? There's got to be a particular reason for that. So make sure to pay attention to Michael Rubin and Fanatics IG, because I want to see if they continue going to these shows. I assume the executive team will probably be at the National. I assume that they all would be, obviously just being the largest show. And some of these folks that he hired on, not sure if they've ever been to a National. I know he has, but that's going to be interesting stuff, guys. I think this upcoming National is going to be bananas anyway. I think it's going to be so packed and exciting. But man, this to me is something to watch. All right, guys, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.